The way that I would define narcissism is a deep, unconscious existence where you're living from the fight or flight in a complete state of survival that was hardwired into you since you were a child, that literally cut off your ability to empathize with others in an effort to survive. So you grew up, you escaped the horrible childhood situation, hopefully, and now you're, quote, free as an adult, but you're not free because you're still running on this auto programming from childhood that conditioned you to literally not have empathy for other human beings.
So if you have empathy, you're not a narcissist.
Exactly. And we can waver, right? I mean, there's certainly been times in my life where like I've just had no empathy for people and I've been a complete, and I was acting from a very narcissistic place. Also, I can repent and I can look at those situations and I can own them and I can feel the shame that's associated with the way I was showing up in those experiences. And I can move through it to say, okay, I want to correct this behavior. And therefore I do have empathy. And I'm not, by definition, a narcissist, which a narcissist, someone with, you know, NPD for real, will never be able to even look at themselves. Like you'll never hear a narcissist say that they're narcissistic. That's the number one thing. Like they can't even look at themselves for a second. They're so deeply split from when they were a child. Something happened in their psyche. They're so split. They can't even for a second look at themselves. So at the end of the day, this comes from childhood and it also comes from shame. People don't understand that the reason someone is narcissistic is because they were shamed to death as a child. When someone has an overload of shame to the point where they're going to become a narcissist, it's like they were so shamed as a child that they split and they developed this complete false self that's not really them, which we also call ego, so that they could live from this false self so that they could feel okay about themselves because their true self got shamed so deeply that they would have died. You know, they would have killed themselves. And child suicide is a thing. So it's a survival mechanism. If you meet a narcissist, oh man, they're just trying to survive. That's what it is. So when you split and you go toward this ego, this false self, you have to uphold it. You have to do everything at all costs to uphold it because anything that breaks down that image will start to bring you back to what you really think you are, which is a shameful and defective human being, which of course is not true. No child is inherently shameful or defective. But when you believe that, when that's your core belief, you're going to run from it at all costs because it's so painful to face. So that's why a narcissist will get so triggered when you start to call them out on their bullshit, when you start to call them out on something they're doing that's shameful. You know, they'll get really defensive. They'll get really, because it's starting to bring them back to that memory of what they were taught they were as a child, which was shameful and defective and flawed as a human being.